Hi and good evening, Miss Deva. I'm Yamuna Harichandran here. Today I'm going to do a presentation for Introduction to Law Enforcement. Title of the assignment Royal Malaysia Custom Department. Introduction. The Royal Malaysia Custom Department, abbreviated RMCD, is a government department body under the Malaysian Ministry of Finance. RMCD function as the country's main indirect tax collector facilitating trade and enforcing laws. The top management of JKDM is led by the Director General of Custom, Turus 3, and assisted by three deputies, namely the Deputy Director General of Custom Enforcement Complaints Division JUSA A, the Deputy Director General of Custom in Health Tax Division JUSA A, and the Deputy Chief Director of Custom Management Division JUSA B. The Royal Malaysia Custom Department consists of several divisions, namely the Enforcement Division, the Inland Tax Division, the Complements Division, the Custom Division, and Technical Service Division. Royal Malaysia Custom Department RMCD role is to collect national revenue in the form of taxes and custom duties consisting of import duty, export duty, excise duty, sales tax, service tax, extraordinary profit levy, vehicle levy, departure levy, non-tax revenue, state revenue, trust money, and tourism tax. Crime. The crime index increased 21.4%. The crime index includes violent and property crime. In 2022, the crime index increased by 21.4% to 65,623 cases are compared to the 83,456 cases in 2019. Violent and property crime also decreased by 19.5% and 21.8% respectively to 13,279 cases and 52,344 cases in 2020. Violent crimes comprise murder, rape, robbery, and causing injury. In 2020, robbery cases recorded the highest percentage decrease in cases with 24.7% to 7,326 cases are compared to 9,729 cases in 2019. This was followed by murder, 18.4%, and causing injury, 12.6%. Meanwhile, property crime, namely house break-in and thief, vehicle thief, snatch thief, and other thief in 2020, vehicle thief recorded the highest decrease of 31% to 21,579 cases as compared to 30,867 cases in 2019, followed by house break-in and thief 14.9 and other theft 14.6% includes gang robbery with firearms, gang robbery without firearms, robbery with firearms, and robbery without firearms. Explanation challenges faced by Royal Malaysia Custom Department. The Goods and Service Tax Act GST Act 2014 came into force on 1st April 2015. Since its implementation almost 2 years ago, issues that surfaced in the early stage still remain with respect to the enforcement by the Royal Malaysia Custom Department customs, resulting in signification challenge for a number of taxpayers to comply with the GST requirements. While custom has made some effort to address some of the issues faced by taxpayers, the number of cases litigated on GST issues continue to rise. Many of the issues pertain to differing interpretation of the GST Act. The role of guidelines and Director General's DG decision issued by customs in aiding the interpretation of the law. Many aspects and details relating to the GST regime are not provided for expressly under the GST Act or subsidiary legislation, but are instant found in these variation guidelines and DG decisions. They are absolute, can be challenged. Wong and partners have successfully represented clients before the GST tribunal on these issues, and drawing from the firm's experience, this client alert will focus on the viability and challenging the DG's decisions. Explain the impact of the challenges. Crime prevention initiatives to decrease crime rates by Royal Custom, Malaysia, 20 July 2018. Transparency International Malaysia has taken note of Royal Malaysia Custom Department's Director General DG Dato Sri Subramaniam's hope of generating some 3 billion revenue through the import and export tax collection as part of the department's strategy to bridge the tax collection gap, which is expected to occur with the reintroduction of the sales and service tax SST, replacing the goods and service tax GST. Tax evasions and related cooperation have been general and persistent problem and challenge for most revenue collection agency globally. Team welcomes the custom DG proactive and friendly approach towards the non-governmental organizations, as it is also one of the criteria required by the Open Governmental Partnership OGP, which enables civil society and governments to work closely together to shape and implement ambitious governance reforms. At the moment, TAME feels that the department has wide discretionary power in respect of their procedures, which may result in some officers to be allowed to operate with low levels of integrity, accountability, and transparency. Hence, it is important to reshuffle the officers in high corporation risk position to improve the efficiency of the agency. Continue of the explain. A pre-screening for new recruitment and current staff can also be considered as one of the preventive measures. According to exosense of certified fraud examiners, ACFE, and organizations typically loses 5% of the revenue due to fraud. Therefore, it's important to reduce leakage by strengthening an organization international control policy, as this will eventually reduce the level of fraud. We will also like to suggest to the government to consider upgrading the facilities at custom to be more advanced, such as the use of scanners at Port Klang, Penang, and Johor Bahru. It was reported in the news that every year the custom loses about 2 billion due to smuggling of cigarettes alone, and the problem could be due to the use of outdated scanner who lack of maintenance due to prohibitive maintenance costs. There shall be an amendment to the legislation to include mandatory jail sentences for illegal smuggling offence under Section 135 of Custom Act to increase the fines for the respective offences. There is also a need to improve the custom checkpoint and facilities in Rantau Panjang, Bukit Kaya Hitam, Padang Besar as good working condition will increase the officers' productivity. Needless to say, they shall be tone at the top, taught leadership by example, and there shall be no political influence when the custom is conducting raids of confiscating goods so that they can perform their duties without fear and favor. Crime prevention invitation to decrease crime rates by Royal Malaysia Custom Department. Crime is a manifestation of insufficiency that society attempts to curb, yet faces enormous challenge. As crime is by a product of urbanization as and human advancement, a small agglomeration of the population in cities around the globe. Humankind's safety from being treated by crime needed to be safeguarded as sustain everyday living in cities. An increasing trend is showing in emerging and developing countries. Therefore, this article provides empirical evidence regarding a safe city program launched in Malaysia. The study aims to identify the factor contributing to the prevention of crime and fear of crime. The study employed a survey questionnaire to 400 pedestrians perceptions of Kuala Lumpur City's central business district. The results shows that prevention methods taught the actor of capable guardians, authorities, and affection. However, methods taught the actor of suitable victims, communities is ineffective. Conclusion. It is hard to justify without any sufficient evidence or any concrete proof of data to support that indirect tax collection loss is due to tax evasion or a custom officer's competency. From the findings, none of the elements of tax composition shows a decreased trend in collection, but there are significant increase in certain elements of the indirect tax compositions. For example, when the government reduces or eliminates certain taxes in manufacturing of service during the annual budget, report that latter leads to the reduction of decreases in tax collection. After analyzing the data from the questionnaire, there are variation reasons are facilitating factors of tax evasion in indirect tax administration. There are also reasons such as the competency issues in tax administrations of custom KLIA. A custom officer who is responsible of assessment for goods shall be able to master the tariff code set by World Trade Organization WTO at the import export department, especially at the international airport. There are a lot of tax evasion possibilities can be happen in the Royal Malaysia Custom department as indirect tax administrator, and one of the main problem comes from the agent that has been appointed by the importer. Continue of the conclusion. Secondly, manpower is not always adequate to detect tax evaders. Nine, moreover, other resources such as the assessment officer have mistake the tariff code of the product that shall be taxed by import duty, and they declare items as non-dutiable. The reason being is some of the custom officer were not well versed of on the laws and ruling, while some had less experience to carry out their duty. However, some entrepreneurs have developed methods of evading tax that are difficult to deal with. Besides that, some manufacturers and service sectors claim that the prices are lower than the actual, which is difficult for the custom officers assigned to determine the amount of tax to detect. They usually manipulate the facilities and exemption that were provided by the government to increase more revenue for their company. The second element that needs further assessment in decrease cooperation between other government agency in Malaysia and other international agency collaboration is important because on the one hand, the international exchange of knowledge can benefit all parties involved. Recommendation. In terms of indirect tax administration, there are a lot of issues involved in the enforcement laws of tax evasions. There is a lot of red tape involved in the procedures and weakness in prosecution. The most affected will be Inland Revenue Department of Royal Malaysia Custom Department. In 2010, after many incidents involving tax evasion that are related to the economy's downturn, the European authorities have made tax evasion a designated or predicated option for money legislation. That is to say, tax evasion is a criminal offense which is committed cloud give rise to criminal proceeds such as evading taxes. For reporting entities to the other authorities that is responsible for the prosecutors, there are two key regulatory implications. First, each reporting entity must document manage the risk of tax evasion, which may give rise to a money laundering or terrorist financing offense in the cause of their activities, which may result in consequential amendments to policies and procedures as well as training. Thank you, Miss Deva.